Welcome back to CIA Declassified. We've stepped out of the black vault of the Nevada desert and into the dust and smoke of the Levant. In 2012, as the Syrian uprising turned into a brutal civil war, the agency was authorized to tip the scales. It was one of the largest and most expensive covert operations in the history of the United States. Billions of dollars in weapons and training were funneled into a conflict that had no clear end. This was Operation Timber Sycamore. To topple a regime without a direct invasion, the agency turned to a network of old allies and shadow markets. Operation Timber Sycamore was a classified weapons supply and training program authorized by President Barack Obama in 2013, aimed at supporting moderate rebels fighting against Bashar al-Assad. A quote from the New York Times investigation in 2016. The CIA and its Saudi partners were essentially running an international arms bazaar, buying thousands of anti-tank missiles from Eastern Europe. End quote. The agency utilized Langley logistics to move cargo from Croatia and Bulgaria via unmarked cargo planes into Jordan, where the weapons were distributed to vetted rebel groups. A quote from Senator John McCain in 2014. The training of these moderate forces is the only way to provide an alternative to both the Assad regime and the extremist elements that are filling the vacuum. End quote. The archives reveal that the agency established secret training facilities in Jordan, codenamed Langley Campus, where Special Activities Division officers taught rebel tactical maneuvers in the use of TOW anti-tank missiles. That might be TOW anti-tank missiles, but I think it's TOW. A quote from a declassified 2015 National Intelligence estimate: the proliferation of advanced weaponry within the Syrian theater presents a high risk of diversion to radicalized non-state actors. End quote. The Langley vetting process involved biometric scanning and background checks to ensure rebel fighters were not affiliated with al-Qaeda, though field reports often showed these vetted fighters switching sides. The declassified ledger confirms that Saudi Arabia contributed billions to the program, while the CIA provided the intelligence, trainers, and the Langley end-use certificates required for international arms sales. Operation Timber Sycamore was so expansive that it inadvertently caused a global spike in the price of Soviet-era ammunition on the black market. The archives show that the agency utilized Langley shadow budgets to pay for the salaries of thousands of rebel fighters, often distributing millions in cash inside the Jordanian border. Technological breakthroughs in the field included the use of Langley tracking chips embedded in the stocks of rifles to monitor their location, though rebels quickly learned to remove them using heat. A quote from the 2017 announcement of the program's termination. The decision to end the program reflects a strategic shift, ... ellipses. The effectiveness of the moderate opposition has been undermined by the intervention of foreign powers. End quote. The declassified Sycamore logs indicate that at its peak, the CIA was training and arming over 10,000 rebel fighters a year. It was revealed that Langley drone surveillance was used to monitor the training camps in Jordan to ensure no ISIS infiltrators were receiving U.S. training. By 2015, the CIA was coordinating with the, I might say this, Qataris, Qataris, to procure Chinese-made FN-6 shoulder-fired missiles, which were then smuggled across the Turkish border into northern Syria. The data release confirms that the agency utilized a fleet of ghost trucks, civilian vehicles with hidden reinforced floors, to transport thermal imaging optics to rebel commanders in Aleppo. Operational breakthroughs included the Langley Encryption Link, a handheld device given to rebel leaders that provided real-time satellite imagery of Syrian tank movements without revealing the agency's direct involvement. A quote from a 2016 internal cable: the success of the TOW program has fundamentally altered the battlefield geometry, forcing the regime to rely almost entirely on air power. End quote. According to the archives, the agency used a front company in the UAE to purchase over 50,000 units of non-lethal equipment, including body armor and encrypted radios, to avoid direct violation of early arms embargoes. The broad strokes of the program are known, but the most significant redactions in the release appear in the incident report weapons diversion and the third-party beneficiary analysis. In fact, the most heavily redacted section, nearly 200 pages of solid black ink, is the end-user tracking log of 2016, where a list of names and unit designations are completely obscured. Why hide who ended up with the guns? Get ready for the theory of the blowback blueprint. Speculation suggests Operation Timber Sycamore wasn't just about Syria, but a Langley plan to intentionally funnel weapons to extremist groups. The theory claims the redactions in the Operational Goals Phase 2 section hide a directive to destabilize the entire region by ensuring no side could ever truly win, turning Syria into a Langley meat grinder to exhaust Russian and Iranian resources. What if the operation used Langley ghost mercenaries? A rumor suggests the CIA didn't train Syrians at all, but used private contractors who were legally dead or erased from military records. The theory claims the redactions in the payroll disbursements hide payoff ledgers found in secret Swiss bank accounts, suggesting the rebels were actually an agency-controlled foreign legion. Looking at the capture and interrogation summaries, the redactions are massive. Some believe this hides Project Doppelganger, where the agency replaced rebel leaders with Langley assets who had undergone plastic surgery to look like the original commanders. The digital jihad theory suggests the redactions in the media and propaganda support section hide the use of Langley AI bots to create fake viral videos of rebel victories to trick the Syrian army into retreating. The chemical weapons counterintelligence logs are almost entirely blacked out. Gossip suggests this masks the agency's own Langley false flag operations to plant chemical agents in rebel-held areas to trigger international intervention. Some believe the massive redactions in the asset disposal logs hide the fact that the CIA didn't just buy AK-47s, but actually recovered Langley alien tech artifacts from ancient ruins during the fog of war, and the black bars hide the transport manifest to bring them back to Langley. In the financial audit Jordan operations section, there are huge blocks of text that are missing. The word on the street is that these redactions hide the Langley kickback scheme, where millions of dollars were laundered back into U.S. political campaigns through middlemen in Amman. Looking at the biometric failure reports, the ink is so thick you could drown in it. Theorists claim the agency discovered that their vetted rebels were actually a Langley hive mind controlled by an unknown external signal, and the redactions protect the frequency data. Gossip suggests the redactions in the regional partner friction section hide a secret war within a war, where CIA-backed units were actually fighting Mossad-backed units, with the black ink masking the Langley friendly fire body counts. Lastly, some whisper that the redactions hide the fact that the entire operation was actually a training simulation that got out of control, and the black bars mask the system reset commands that failed to stop the real world war. Was Operation Timber Sycamore a success? Tactically, it was a massive success in projection. The agency successfully armed a massive force and significantly degraded the Syrian military's capabilities for years. Strategically, it is widely considered a failure. The program failed to topple Assad, led to the rise of more radical groups like ISIS, who captured the CIA-supplied weapons, and eventually forced the U.S. to intervene directly against the very chaos the program helped create. The Langley legacy of the operation is one of blowback, the unintended consequences of arming a ghost. As far as technological and operational breakthroughs go, the Sycamore sting changed the rules of modern proxy warfare. For instance, vetting at scale, the development of the Langley biometric database to track paramilitary forces in real time. Denial of origin logistics, the first use of Langley shell carriers to move thousands of tons of Eastern European weaponry into an active war zone. TOW, remember that could be TOW, missile proliferation, the strategic use of anti-tank weapons as a Langley force multiplier against conventional armored divisions, and international financing models, the successful joint account structure between the U.S. and regional monarchies to fund a multi-billion-dollar covert war. Operation Timber Sycamore shows us that when the agency tries to garden in a desert, they often end up with thorns. As the files reveal, the sting of the sycamore is felt long after the tree has fallen. Thanks for listening, and join us next time as we examine Operation Steakhouse. In the late 1960s, the agency decided that to crack the North Vietnamese code, they needed to listen to the lunch rush. Operation Steakhouse was a high-risk technical entry into the North Vietnamese embassy in Laos. We'll uncover how the CIA bugged the very heart of the enemy's diplomatic communications while the world was distracted by the Ho Chi Minh Trail. Join us next time for the chef's secret. In the meantime, I'll see you in the archives.